Drama. Oh, these girls is out here starting some drama. Oh, these ladies is getting sassy with me. And I'm just so scared. I'm so scared. I'm so scared that I asked two guys to come to debate. And they weren't interested in debating. We had actually a pretty massive meltdown, as we're going to see. So we're going to be doing a little bit tonight. I'm going to talk about what happened. Then I'm going to talk about the specific refutations of what we've seen Albrecht offer, which is pretty low tier stuff. And I'll show you exactly why no one is actually interested in Albrecht first. So Albrecht likes to make a big huff and a big stink. And many years ago, when I first met Albrecht online, he asked for a debate. And we talked about this in DMs, and it was going to be set up. This is back in 2019 here. And then I would give him a bunch of references, a bunch of links, a bunch of things to read. And then it would turn out that months later, he wasn't able to do it. So he would only do, originally, debates several months out. I have several radio shows. At that time, he wouldn't do YouTube debates. And I'm like, radio? Okay, Boomer, what are you talking about? And then I asked him if he'd like to debate something else. And the original statement that he gave was, well, let's do it 6 months from now. And then months later, let's do it down the road. I've been busy. I've got stuff coming up. I've had issues. I can't do it. Okay. So this became a recurring thing. So this would Saturday in December. So this is July 29, 2019. How about an in-person debate in December? 6 months out. And then he says, let's do it. Then he says, here, let's do it dual streamed. And I said, I don't think double streams will work because at that time we were talking about him coming on my stream. And then what he used to do is that he would just hope that months later you would forget. And then when it came around time for the debate, he would say, oh, I've got personal issues coming up. And so Ubi had a similar type of experience with William Albrecht. And since that time, pretty much everyone just quit caring or paying attention to him. And he didn't have any audience or traction until he got on Shimoon's channel anyway. But his papacy stuff is literally just the most basic bitch, low tier stuff, as we'll see when we get to the Albrecht presentation here in a moment. And we're going to have fun reacting to that. But before we do, I'll explain what happened today. So Shamoun did a stream about the Trinity and Protestant and Catholic apologists and their different strategies and takes and who has a better model and whether the Protestants were better than the Roman Catholics and so forth. And he said something to the effect of, well, right now, the Protestants are beating the Catholics on the Trinity because they will go to the Old Testament and they'll talk about the angel of the Lord. That's true. However, what I disagreed with was that between these two, the Protestant apologist and the Roman Catholic apologist, he was missing the obvious Orthodox apologist. I'm not talking about me, Dr. Branson, and the entire history of the Orthodox monarchical Trinitarian model. And then he did later mention that. Now, I don't care about the ultimate issue of whether he said that I was good at the Trinity or whatever. I'm not worried about that. My point in DMing him was that I don't believe either the Protestants or the Roman Catholics have good Trinitarian models because they don't even have the triad. And they don't have the triad because you don't just have the triad as an abstract doctrine in your head. It's not a doctrine that you have separate from the doctrine of the energies. There is no Trinity without energies doctrine. But the weird part about Shamoun is that Shamoun seems to think that you can have theophanies, but he doesn't even know about the energies. The only way to have theophanies is to have the energetic manifestation of those theophanies. But I don't think he even knows that, and I'm going to show you the evidence that he doesn't even seem to know that. So here's the horrible thing that I did. Apparently, if you message him while he's doing a live stream, which I wasn't aware of this, I don't spend all my time watching Sam Shimoon. I know many of you think that I do, but I don't. I've watched some of his Muslim debates, and that's about it. I dared to message him while he was streaming and said, hey, let's set up a friendly debate where we have timed responses. That's the horrible demonic thing I did. So apparently, if you ask Sam Shimoon a question while he's trying to live stream, you're of the devil. I didn't realize this. I didn't know that that's what counts as demonic manifestation. Now, I've always thought it was a little odd that he always calls anyone who disagrees manifesting. I mean, people who have the vices or who lose their temper, they're not all possessed, and they're not all demonic manifestations. This is just bizarre. But some of you might be wondering, well, why did you continue on being friends with Sam Shimoon for so long? Well, I wanted to make Sam Shimoon Orthodox. I want him to become Orthodox, as is the case with everybody that we interact with, talk to, debate with. And so I was always respectful. And I think everybody can attest to the fact that at no point in the last 7 years of knowing Sam Shimoon can anyone point out any time where I ever said anything negative at all or critical. Nothing but respect for Sam Shimoon throughout those entire years. So it was a very bizarre response because, number one, if you're doing a live stream, don't pay attention to Skype messages. Like, so all you have to do is just pay attention to the live stream. There's no reason to get mad over somebody DMing you while you're live streaming. And why would that make anyone who DMs you demonic? It's just bizarre. And nothing in the messages was out of the norm. Every time I've ever messaged Shimoon or said anything, it's just direct, straightforward, no BS, no dancing around, just straight up. Hey, I disagree with your take on Protestant and Roman Catholic Trinity models because you can't have this doctrine without the energies. Well, again, that was just way over the top. So you'll see here live, this is what was happening.
Actually, he just contacted me on Skype. So you guys think he doesn't? Here. Okay, see? This is what happened. See, this is what you did, Jay? You can't control yourself? Now I'm going to, because they're not here. Here you go.
I can't control myself. So just DMing this guy, I can't control myself. I'm springing out. Oh, I'm demonically possessed.
Right here. I guess he needs attention, and his fangirls are foaming at the mouth. I think
he thinks that I need the attention when, again, I brought him on the Alex Jones show. Now, he's actually going to make a reference to that later and say that I'm crazy conspiracy theorist when he went on the Alex Jones show. So that would mean he's also an insane loon conspiracy theorist for coming on the show that I invited him on.
Live here. Here it is, guys. Let me show you. Right now, as I'm going live, I don't know what's going on. He wants to debate William and I. Here, let me call him. Let me see. Right here.
Does this look like demonic manifestation?
Right.
And the other messages, the messages say we can even do it in a friendly, timed response way. Like, there's nothing. It's the same kind of reaction with Calvin Robinson. Now, part of the reason that this happened too is that I talked for months with Sam about how to set up the right round table. And they think that because no one wants to interact or have anything to do with William Albrecht or Sam Shimoon, by the way. I didn't tell him this because I didn't want to hurt his feelings. But the other reason the other people don't want to interact with Albrecht is that they don't want to interact with Sam Shimoon. And that's all the people in my circles. So no one else wanted to come on this round table. And so I was trying to figure out ways to set up the round table where we could have me do a presentation and then separately Albrecht do a presentation. Well, I suggested that 3 or 4 times, and I guess that wasn't good enough. Because no one wanted to interact with Albrecht because Albrecht is a shady character. That's why. And because they don't like Sam Shamoun. So, but I didn't tell him any of that. I just left all that out and tried to organize it. By the way, I organized the Fresh and Fit thing to bring him on. So I don't know, what was a vast conspiracy for me all these years to help him out with nice interviews, big spots, and what it was all to go after him because I'm demonically possessed. I mean, it's just insane. It's like, I disagreed with your take that Protestants and Roman Catholic apologists in the pop sphere, like Aiken or any of those people, any of them have very good takes on the Trinity. And so I asked simply for a timed response debate on my channel. Now, I'm going to play a clip in a minute ago where he lost his mind tonight and said some really insane stuff, which makes me worried about him. And you're going to see that he doesn't even seem to be aware of the energies doctrine, which is odd because he's out here teaching the Trinity, debating all these topics, and then he plays the victim on his stream and says that you don't ask a person who's new to all this to come to debate. Well, then why are you teaching? If you're new to all this, you ought to be being catechized. But this is a problem we're going to get to with Shimoon here in a second. I've got 5 main issues with what the problem is with Sam Shamoun, and it's probably not what you think. I'm not going to go after him on a personal level. I don't do that. That's the kind of stuff that people who don't really have anything solid to stand on, that's what they go after. I'm going to point out what I think is the actual issue here. And it really has nothing to do with intellect or doctrines or dogmas or anything like that. It has to do with being willing to go into the catechumenate. That's the problem. And I think he's pretty much expressed that he would rather go to a Catholic church because, quote, they give him communion. Well, that doesn't prove that it's the true church because they will give you the communion. His other arguments for why he's Catholic are things like miraculous meetings of other Roman Catholics or something. I don't know how that proves Roman Catholicism. I mean, if I met a bunch of, Satanists in the next week, would that miraculously, providentially mean that I'm supposed to join the Church of Satan? It's a bad series of almost charismatic level stuff. And we're actually going to see that I think there is an element of charismatic influence and delusion that's going on with Shamoun, which is also part of the problem when we look at his bizarre idea that dust particles that fly across his camera are miraculous presences and appearances. Which, yes, he actually believes that. And now people are saying running from the debate. Now, you say I offered multiple times for them to come and do a timed debate, and they said, no, you come to William's channel right now. Well, I was on a podcast earlier tonight, as you can see, with, quite frankly, I didn't have time to go to William's channel. But I've spent months and years in the past trying to debate and set up debates with William Albrecht. And so if they're not willing to accept a debate where there's timed responses, what's the point? And what's the point of debating a person who himself can't debate or defend his positions? He's got to bring in his handler. But I told him he can come debate too. But they don't want that. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's the rest of what he says.
Dude that I've tried to respect, he's now barking and manifesting.
Barking and manifesting. Asking you to come have this discussion. So that's barking and manifesting. So you notice that anyone who disagrees, this guy thinks is demonically possessed. Now, he may actually believe this, and what that suggests to me is like there's something going on, like he actually thinks that everything that's happening is somehow like about and directed at him. As if someone couldn't just disagree with him or even just get angry with him. If somebody gets angry with you, do you immediately assume that they're demonically possessed? It's just bizarre. I mean, it's not true, but it might be a person who has a kind of a psychosis or is dealing with certain types of bipolar issues. And I think that probably that's what's going on. I'm not saying that to humiliate him, because I'm not interested in going into this whole thing. As you're going to see, like, when I tried to reach out again tonight to set up a debate, he just went off the hook. So I don't think this is a person that you can be reasonable with. And you'll see why.
Right here. Right here, see? So don't lie for him, because he's been trying to get my attention. I'm live. I'm thinking, okay, some other time we'll do it. All right. So no, you fangirls, shots fired.
So then he got mad because he messaged me in the middle of this, and he said, "Why are you sending your minions into my chat?" I've never sent minions into chats. I don't have the time or the interest in doing that. That's just the way the internet works. People will come and talk smack and then strategize and tell, "All right, go get him, guys." I just put it publicly, right? So at this point, I posted the public question: why don't you guys both come and have a debate?
It's not going to be on his time, so he can simmer down.
Now, wait a minute. Shamoun always demands everyone come to his stream. And then when I offer for both of them to come to my stream, I didn't say it had to be right then. I just said, you guys want to come on. So he's making it like I demanded at the initial offer that he has to come on right now or today. I never said that. I just said, you want to set up a friendly timed response. That's all it said. I said it would be good to do it timed so that people don't talk over each other. Now he's saying, oh, he just wants attention, demanding that I do it now. There was no demand.
So don't be lying about him. He's the one who did. I don't usually call this guy out, but I guess he's getting too big for his britches. Okay. Anyway.
Right. So because he's got clips channels that have spread his clips, he thinks I'm jealous of him, and I have to call him out because I don't have any other way to get attention or to get an audience. So it's not like I host a giant show or write for another giant show. No, I only can get clips by fussing with him.
Now, it's right, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Now, you're telling me this is not a demonic attack and now Satan's using him? We're focusing on Christ, glorifying Christ. He manifests. But I'm glad you exposed.
So, again, nothing else happened other than me asking him another question. I said, what are you getting mad about? I'm just asking you to set up a time debate. And now it's demonic manifestation. So it's almost like a cult leader where it's like DMing a person during a stream and he loses his mind as if this is some giant personal attack. All I said was I disagree with your take on Protestant and Roman Catholic Trinity models. That was it. That's it. But that's all it takes is you're now demonically possessed and working to undermine him when I hooked you up with a fresh and fit massive debate, but now I'm demonically possessed for daring to message you during a live stream. I mean, it's just, okay, I get it. He has a pet peeve. That I understand this now, but why don't you just assume that, like, maybe not everybody knows that that's your pet peeve, right? To get messaged during a live stream. I get messages all the time. I don't get mad about it and cuss the people out because they message me. How dare you, you demon! Satan sent you to message me during a live stream.
Yourself. Because now shots are fired. Okay, now, and you guys note, I didn't shoot, right? I didn't fire shots. Okay, but that's good. Now, for the rest of you, if you're listening, because Satan wants us to be distracted. Don't be distracted. No, his fangirls came manifesting. I blocked them. Because I guess he's live calling out William. Don't be...
He's lied calling out William. How is calling out William to debate a lie? That doesn't even make any sense.
Be distracted. Focus, because in the midst of my stream to call us out. Yeah, we're going to drop everything, Jay. We're going to drop you in a minute.
I didn't say anything about leaving your stream to debate me. I just asked you if you'd like to set it up. So this is not true. He's acting like I demanded that he stop his stream and come debate me. It was a simple message to set up this debate or this discussion, which is the same message I sent tonight, and you'll see how he reacted.
When we set it up, don't worry about it.
By the way, the reason that he's acting this way is because he doesn't want this debate. He wants to poison the well and be so nasty that I won't debate, so that he will say that I'm a coward, when if he was actually disinterested in the truth, why wouldn't he just have this discussion anyway? Why wouldn't he come and have the discussion with timed responses? There was no need for all of this. But one of the reasons that this kind of person does this is that it's a way to not have the debate by being so nasty and then accuse the people who don't want to interact with you as if they're totally scared. Now you might say, oh, but Jay, you make jokes about people. You do this, you do that. When I operate on asking people to come to a debate, it's always professional. I just simply send very brief, very clear, precise messages. Would you like to set up a debate on this? And everybody knows this. I've been doing it for years. There's no screaming. There's no meltdowns. There's no crying. There's none of this. That happens in informal debates where it's open forum where people call in to challenge me. That's different from a formal debate setting where you have timed responses.
Right? Not on your time. Take it easy. But you see here, it says on his robe and on his...
There was nothing about that he has to do it on my time. It was just an asking him to come and do it. He could do it a week from now.
He has a name inscribed, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So you're saying Jesus manifested by coming and disrupting a service that's about Jesus Christ and glorifying him? That's what Satan, your father, does. Manifest to distract, you stupid whore. See, the demons are...
So, because someone asked him to debate in a DM, the demons are sending people and everyone's a stupid whore. It literally makes no sense at all.
Manifesting. Okay, now everyone else getting it? Everyone listening? Everyone listening? I need you to focus. Get rid of these trolls. Now, I don't want you to get distracted. Do you guys see demonic? I'm in the midst of a session and the guy manifests. Good. I'm glad God exposed you. It's time to take you out. 1 Corinthians 6, 2-3.
So this is his attitude when someone DMs him, because it's a live stream. It's demonic manifestation, and it's time for him to take them out. I mean, this is just literally insane. This is like a mentally unstable person. I don't like... Where did I ever say anything negative, critical at all, rude, or anything? But I mean, I was always completely respectful to him. And he doesn't have any evidence of any of that, by the way. Like, there's no me talking smack, me even being rude, critical of him at all. All he has is that I told him that no one wants to interact with William Albrecht, and he thinks that's a gotcha, that people are scared of Albrecht.
He's barking again, dude. Hey, Jay, your boys came to my live stream calling me out. So I'm thinking you're sending them. I'm trying to keep love with you and work with you, buddy. Tell them to...
So, again, this weird paranoia that I'm sending people to his live stream chat. Like, first of all, you have to join his channel and wait 5 hours to chat anyway. Like, you can't just join the channel and chat. So, I don't know where he's... I mean, this is just bizarre, right? It's weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Stop. Go to my comment section. They're calling him out as if I'm afraid. Come on, Jay. Keep it real between us. I got your back, dude. Come on. All right, anyway. Isaiah? I know you don't have to. They're coming because they're hearing you mention it because they didn't hear it on my stream. So tell them, stop being used of the devil, bro. Anyway, got to get back to the stream. Love you. Take care.
So I'm demonically possessed. I'm an agent of the devil. He thinks I'm sending people to a stream. And then he's like, love you, bro.
Anyway, see, the Lord God... See? So he did. Shots fired, right? It's manifesting. Okay, good. That's all right.
Right. So what I took issue with was in this stream, he says that the Protestants are killing it on the Trinity because they go to the angel of the Lord in the Old Testament. And I understand that he was saying that they're doing better in that domain than the Roman Catholic apologists who don't want to talk about the Trinity in the Old Testament because they have a pretty bad theology. But that wasn't what I was taking issue with. I'm taking issue with the idea that either the Protestant or the Roman Catholic Trinitarian model are correct. I believe they're both wrong, and I think that you can demonstrate that not just in terms of the monarchia and how that's central to Orthodox Trinitarian theology, especially from Constantinople I and the Cappadocians, but also the energies doctrine, which is concomitant with that monarchical Trinitarian doctrine of the Cappadocians. That's why the Eastern Fathers and the Eastern Councils dogmatized the energies doctrine. But he doesn't even know that the energies doctrine is in the New Testament, as I'm going to show you when he starts, as he says, barking about the energies doctrine itself.
We're going to call him out too, don't worry. You with me there? That's why his fangirls are manifesting. I feel bad for you Orthodox brothers and sisters, seriously.
So, if you're Orthodox, you're just my fangirl, even though, how does he know that the profiles asking him to debate are necessarily Orthodox? Maybe they're a bunch of Roman Catholics. Maybe they're Wagner's fans. Maybe they're Protestants who want to see this kind of a debate. He just assumes that people in the chat are asking him to debate are demonically possessed Orthodox people.
Orthodox Church is a glorious church, but when you got people like this representing you, it's sad. It really is.
So now, because someone dared to take issue with his bizarre idea that Roman Catholics, Orthodox, and Protestants all have good Trinitarian theology, which doesn't make any sense, by the way, which is going to be the root of his chief mistake, the idea that there's a apostolic church that exists amongst a bunch of sects and different schisms is complete nonsense and doesn't exist. There is no apostolic church that isn't a specific apostolic church. So that we'll get to in a moment, but we'll finish this.
I'm being honest with you. It's like what apostate prophet said to Luigi. If you're to judge orthodoxy by you guys online, he would never become Orthodox.
Shimoon critiqued David Wood because he said that you can't make your Christianity anti-Islam, right? And we saw this with David Wood, with Christian Prince. Christian Prince was this goofball who doesn't know anything about church history. He's never heard of Athanasius. He didn't know who Athanasius was. But the extent of his Christianity and his catechesis was just anti-Islam. And you've got a lot of people, very low tier, very low information voters who don't know church history. They don't know actual theology. They think that theology is being anti-Islam. And so they convert to Jesus, and that's step one. That's good. But there's no Jesus ultimately without the church. Jesus set up a church, not 3,000 different conflicting ones, and not 5 different rival, quote, apostolic ones like he thinks. And the amazing thing is that he even admits over and over in his streams that the reason he's not Orthodox is precisely that he would have to start over and be catechized. And because the Roman Catholics give him communion. But that doesn't show that it's true just because they give you communion. That's a terrible argument and justification. And other sort of emotive reasons that are not good reasons, which again, I think goes back to this almost charismatic influence that we see with Sam Shamoun. I'm just over here manifesting, dog. I'm just manifesting, dog. Can't stop manifesting. So again, the problem is that he's not catechized. Okay, so he just learned about apostolic succession and post-apostolic fathers not too long ago, right? He was doing a commentary on the stream that Trent Horn did. Trent Horn talked about the apostolic fathers in his debate and showed that they teach apostolic succession. So when Shamoun reviews that, he says, this is blowing my mind. This is blowing my mind. So you didn't know that the apostolic fathers have apostolic succession? I mean, this is like basics, right? So you got a person who learned a lot of the Bible as a Protestant and learned a lot of Islamic arguments as a Protestant and was a very proficient, even as a Calvinist, debater against Islam. But Christianity is not Calvinism, it's not Protestantism, and it's not your made-up church of apostolic that exists amongst a bunch of sects and splits and schisms. And he even defends Marmari, who created his own denomination. It doesn't make any sense. So why is this? He doesn't know anything about the divine energies. He doesn't know anything about Christology. He doesn't know anything about the patristic teaching and the ecumenical council's teachings. And so he's wandered into Papism because he thinks that that's going to make it easy for him and it's going to give him a broader reach amongst the so-called Christian YouTube audience or whatever. Well, you can make that decision if you want, but the problem is that the papacy itself is a spiritual delusion. And I'm going to show you that. We're going to look at William Albrecht's terrible argumentation about the papacy, how low tier it is. But again, the key point is that Sam Shamoun has no teaching blessing. No one becomes a teacher that's self-appointed. It doesn't exist. In fact, even in the Roman Catholic world, it's not really supposed to exist. I mean, in today's Roman Catholic world, nobody cares about it. They can do whatever they want. But you cannot be a self-appointed teacher. You have to be called to teach or given a blessing to teach. And this is a basic principle. Hebrews 5, as you guys know. For every high priest taken from among men is appointed for men in things that pertain to God. He may offer both gifts and sacrifices for sins. He can have compassion on those who are ignorant and go astray, because he himself is also subject to weaknesses. But because of this, he is required, as for the people, so as for himself, to offer sacrifices for sins. No one takes this honor of priesthood and teaching, etc., on themselves, but they are called to it. What bishop, priest, or authority has actually called Sam Shamoun to his parachurch ministry? Now, I don't personally have a big deal with people debating or this or that. The problem is that Sam Shamoun presents himself as having this ministry, right? And it doesn't matter that you defeat Muslims in a debate. That's not what makes the ministry valid. The question is, who appointed you to have ministry? Who appointed you to have that? You have to be under some authority. But nobody knows what priest, bishop, or what blessing from the episcopacy was given to Sam Shamoun to have a public ministry. It's just self-appointed, like many of the online YouTube crowd. Just like Christian Prince, who has no church, who has no blessing, Sam Shamoun's church is the one that he's invented in his head that is, quote, apostolic, meaning Oriental, Assyrian Church of the East, Roman Catholic, and Orthodox, and apparently also many Protestants that he just happens to like that week. They're all somehow part of the apostolic church. But if you go back to the Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed, when the Cappadocians who wrote the creed and compiled that creed put one Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, what do you think they meant? Do you think that when they wrote that, they meant the Novatianists? Did they mean the schismatics of that time? Did they mean the Eunomians? They meant that there is one canonical, visible church structure, and that one Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church is the only one. And the Church Fathers unanimously clearly teach that any heresy or schism is a leaving of that body. There are no schisms in a literal sense, in the sense of two churches out of communion, right? Excommunicating one another, that are still the church. It doesn't exist. And so because he doesn't understand Christology, he has a Nestorian ecclesiology where Christ exists amongst divided, excommunicated, 1,000+ year splits. Is Christ divided? Paul says. So Sam Shamoun has a Calvinist invisible church ecclesiology still. He's an ecclesiological heretic. That's the main problem right here. Because for him to admit that there is a single canonical church that he would be under the authority of would mean that he'd have to be recatechized. And he just simply doesn't want to do that. So it is at root a pride issue. And I'm going to tell you that you shouldn't listen to him. Not because he's wrong about Islam or something like that, but he's just a self-appointed guy who claims to have sort of miraculous, weird, I don't even know what it is, like miracles happen that confirm his, quote, ministry. What are the miracles and things that he claims prove his ministry? Dust flying across his screen, what he calls orbs.
Bless our brother, preserve him and his family, and heal their hearts in Jesus' name. Phenomenal. Watch it. He answered the way I would.
Now, the funny thing is that I didn't even see a dust orb in that video. But again, he thinks that dust orbs, he's not joking, by the way. This is actually on his channel, and he's got multiple orb videos. Let's see another one. Wow, this orb is incredible. So a dust particle flies by. He thinks that angels are flying around in his dirty ass kitchen, right? With his Dunkin' Donuts nasty ass. Like, the reason that you have health issues is your diet, dude. All your Dunkin' Donuts garbage food you got in there, and your cereal boxes or whatever garbage you're eating. That's why you have diet issues, bro. It's not doing cardio. But he's too boomer. He doesn't even know about diets. He thinks doing cardio is what makes you thin. No, dude, it's none of that. Oh, look, another orb. This is a winged orb, according to Sam Shamoun.
Okay. I'll be the bad cop. Okay.
So, a winged orb. Yeah, a piece of dust or a reflection.
Okay, everyone.
Maybe that dirty-ass apartment just needs to be cleaned up, bro. Maybe you need to vacuum that dirty-ass apartment. What's more likely, that there's angels flying around that nasty kitchen, or he just needs to vacuum? What's more likely? These aren't jokes either way. Like, he actually thinks... Here's his fan base. I saw one of them live. I saw one of them orbs live when you was at that hotel. God is surely with you. Here, look at this chick. Presence of angels. The veil is thin. We're almost home. So, yeah, this is what we're talking about here. Orbs, miraculous dust orbs that prove the ministry of Sam Shamoun.
All right, anyway. He's manifesting because I guess he wants our numbers and our fame. All right,
yes,
now, you listening?
Yeah, I don't have Sam Shimoon fame. I'm jealous. Later on, he'll say that I wrote a conspiracy book because I don't have enough money. I don't write books for money, dude. Like, the books don't make any money.
Yeah, see? So there you go. So you made a community post, you see? See that, Ortho Christos? There you go. You guys, man, you do a lot of damage to the church. Okay, now, another one.
What church, Sam? Would that be the Assyrian Church of the East? Would that be the Anglican sect? Would that be the Roman Catholic Communion? Would that be the Coptic, the Tawahida? What is the church? So you see, the whole point is that he doesn't have the church. He's missed the very thing that, 3 weeks ago when he talked about the Trent Horn, like he just learned that the Post-Apostolic Fathers teach apostolic succession, or that he had never seen these quotes before. So what are you going to do when you get to the energies in the Sixth Council, when you learn that?
Let's hammer this. Isaiah 40, verse 10. See, the Lord God comes with might, and his arm rules for him. So he can't stop, guys. Look, he can't stop. He's got to chime in. See, because he wants to be used of the devil. See, guys, watch. Can't stop. And I know he's listening.
I want to be used of the devil. The only reason I would contact you is because I want to be used of the devil. Like, what?
Because he wants to be used of the devil. Look, right
this is crazy.
No, Jay, you're not manifesting.
I mean, look at this guy. I asked him in the comments, I was like, what do you mean I'm manifesting? I was like, because I asked you a question?
Yeah, keep manifesting, dude. I know I'm in your head. Take it easy, buddy. Take it easy. I know I own you. Just take it easy.
Yeah.
In time, I'll do to you what I did on your Discord with the canon. Patience.
You didn't do anything on the canon. You actually believed the position that I argued now. So he's referring to this Discord argument we had about the canon, which is ironic because he now believes the position I was arguing for. He doesn't believe the Protestant position on the canon. So he thinks that he won this stupid argument from 7 years ago, that he now believes the opposite of the thing I was arguing. He was arguing the Protestant canon. I was arguing the Orthodox canon. He now believes the Catholic Orthodox canon. So this is nonsense.
Patience. All right. Anyway.
This is actually, I think this is literally an insane person. I actually think he's just literally just nuts. And the reason I say that, it's not because I'm mad or that I, like, when I play you what he says about the energies, it makes no sense. Because he argued for the theophanies against Wagner and the Thomists. And then he's going to make fun of the energies? It's like he doesn't even know that the only way to have the theophanies is the energy doctrine. It's weird.
Yep. Like,
so I think that there's like something off with this guy. Like, he's off. He doesn't even see that 7 years ago you were arguing the Protestant canon. I was arguing the Orthodox Catholic canon. You now have that position. How did you defeat me in that Discord debate? It's stupid.
The radical Thomists. Okay. See, the Lord God comes with might. And here we go, guys. Yeah, I'm manifesting, guys. Look. There you go. See? Every time. See? Tell me Satan's not working, brother. I'm on a live. Here you go, Jay. Here, you want here?
Here's the demonic possession. I'm always straight up. I'm manifesting. I'm asking you to debate. And I said, we're done, dude. I mean, that's just insane.
All right. Brother, I love you, Jay. I love you. Jay, swear I love you. I love you, man.
So notice this performative nonsense. Does he even... It's like there's two different Sam Shamoons, right? There's like this Sam Shamoon that loves you and is patient and kind and nice with you, and then suddenly there's this like one that's screaming and cussing and like calling you this and that. And again, the issue is that you can't actually overcome a lot of these issues without the aid of the grace that's uncreated in the Orthodox Church. So the sad part is that the very thing that he is mocking, I'm going to show you where he starts mocking the divine energies. That's the very thing that would heal him and that he needs. But that's the thing that he's going to mock, which is really weird and bizarre.
Because of the post you posted, brother, I love you, man. I swear. I do love you. You posted that post because you misunderstood.
So I'm demonically possessed. I'm like totally jealous of him. Never said anything bad about him ever. All I did was ask him to set up a public debate, which, by the way, we've already been talking about doing, right? Setting up something with me, him, and Albrecht and other people for months. And I'm the worst. Oh, but I love you, and you're really great. And by the way, been respectful for you, blah, blah, blah. It's just, it doesn't make any sense.
What I said, you won't stop texting me, brother. I'm in a live stream. And
you don't have to answer your phone on a live stream. Nobody's forcing you to debate or answer your phone on a live stream. So this radical swing between, as you can see here, between I love you, bro, you're the great, yeah, blah, 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 we've been great friends, blah, blah, to just pure hatred, that's bipolar. That's a manic bipolar.
then the guys are coming here and saying, when are you going to debate Jay? For the love of our God. Jay, let me finish, brother. Let me finish what I'm doing. I know you're listening. Let me get to my stuff. Let me get a hold of William, because you guys are the experts on.
So somebody's saying that Sam Shimoon has talked about his mental health issues. I wasn't even aware of this, so I don't know what, this is new to me. What exactly does he say? I don't even know. What are his issues? Somebody that actually knows, can you enlighten me? Because that would actually make things a lot more sensible. I would, like, if he does have actual bipolar issues and medicine that he takes, maybe that would make more sense. I would understand
these issues. I'm going to be learning as we go along. Please be patient, brother. I love you, I swear. I'll even go to Turkey and get a hair transplant if it'll make you happy, so I don't look as fat and ugly, and I don't have a gay lisp like.
I mean, I've never commented on his appearance or said anything negative about him, but you notice that he immediately starts talking about this like there's some sort of rivalry or envy, like because I have hair or something. I don't know what he, like, maybe bald people are just typically rage induced. Like they're mad at the people that have hair. Like, who even cares, dude? I don't care whether you got hair or whether you're bald. It doesn't matter to me. But he's brought this up a lot, and I've always just took it like maybe he's joking, but maybe he actually like has a thing, like he feels intimidated because people have hair. I don't know.
Jamila White, and I promise you I won't wear Cosby sweaters. I promise you. But let me finish, please. Let me finish, brother.
Nobody's making you look at your phone. Like, all you got to do is like turn your screen off or put the phone in the other room. Like, what are you talking about?
Let me finish. Let me finish, please. He's done broke me, man. He done broke me, man. Bro, he done broke me, man. He break me, man. By the way, is Avery live? He break me, man. All right. He break me, man. I don't know what the hell's going on. Guys, what's going on this Lent season, bro? What is going on? Do you see the attacks? Damn. Can I get a break?
It's all right. So that's enough of that. I don't even know what is he talking about attacks? Like asking you to come have a debate in a timed way. It's not an attack. So it's just weird, man. Bizarre. Now I want to go over to this because this was... So later on tonight, after all this, I sent him another message that was not rude. It was just straight up like, do you want to come on and set this up? And here's his response.
Who's having a meltdown? Keep foaming, dude. We're going to call you out. We're going to get you. Don't worry about it. Now, girl, get some more energies. Maybe it'll help you.
Get more energies, maybe they'll help you. It's like he doesn't even...
You stupid bastard. Like I said, thanks for the receipt, queer bait. I'm going to show them who ran from Moya. Down, girl. Caleb. Who's having a meltdown? Keep foaming, dude. We're going to call you out. We're going to get you. Don't worry about it. Down, girl. Get some more energies. Maybe it'll help you.
Get more energies.
You stupid bastard. Like I said, thanks for the receipt, queer bait. I'm going to show them who ran from William.
Down, girl. Caleb.
Who's having a meltdown? Keep foaming, dude. We're going to call...
So there you go. So the energies he thinks are just something that you make fun of. It's like a joke. Maybe your divine energies will help you out. Does he not know that this is fundamental to the New Testament, the doctrine of the divine energies? And for those who are serious about this stuff, you could read an excellent book on that, which is Dr. David Bradshaw's book, Divine Energies and Divine Action. And he has a great section where he talks about that the energies doctrine is essentially something that comes from Scripture. It's not invented by the Cappadocians. It's not invented by Palamas. It's not invented by Maximus the Confessor. The doctrine of the energies is literally the Pauline New Testament terminology, energeia, energenon, for how God is at work in us and what we partake of, right? And he thinks it's something to laugh at. It doesn't make any sense, which makes me think that there's some sort of like bipolar manic sort of episode, which was triggered because I initially asked him in DM to do a debate. That made him upset. And then when he started saying that I was demonically possessed and all this weird stuff, then I said it publicly on the community post. So as you can see, energeia is the working, the efficiency, the superhuman power of God in time and space in us, whether it's Ephesians 3:7, Colossians 2:12, Colossians 1:29, Ephesians 1:19, Ephesians 4:16, Philippians 3:21, 2 Thessalonians 2:9, 2 Thessalonians 2:11. And there are other derivations of the word too. So there's also dunamis, or power. And dunamis is also an equally important New Testament terminology use that is basically synonymous with the Orthodox doctrine of the uncreated energies of God. Now, he doesn't know the church fathers at all, other than quote mining. So he's not even aware that Basil's letter 234 is a classic text outlining what the patristic doctrine of the energies is. This is, again, everybody should know this if you're Orthodox. Let me make it bigger. So he thinks it's funny. He thinks that you just laugh at it. It's like the energies doctrine is a joke or something, and ha ha ha, get your energies to come help you. Queer bait, right? That's what he says to me. Which, by the way, I'm married. So is he married? Calling me queer? I don't understand. Do you worship what you know or what you don't know? If I say that I worship what I know, they immediately say, what is the essence, the object of worship? This is talking about the Eunomians. The Eunomians thought you could know and see and perceive and define the divine essence. I confess that I'm ignorant of the essence. They turn to me and they say, so you worship what you don't know. I answer that the word to know has many meanings. You heard me say this a lot. We say that we know the greatness of God, his wisdom, his power, his goodness, his providence, and the justness of his judgment, but not his essence. The question, therefore, only put forth for the sake of dispute, right, is that we do not know the essence, but the operations come down to us. And that's the point of Basil's apologetic here. These operations or attributes or energies, and when Basil writes this, the term he uses is energeia, the energies. He says the energeia come down to us. And those are the attributes or the operations, right? And in fact, he even rebukes what you hear the Roman Catholics and the Thomists teach. Are all of these terms just names of essence? Basil says that would be a reductio. Is there the same mutual force in his loving kindness and his justice and his creative power, that they're all just names of essence? For they confess that there's a distinction between the essence and one of the attributes enumerated. The operations are various. He says that even the Eunomians confess there's a distinction between the essence and the attributes. The operations are various, but the essence is simple. Operations is energeia. We know God from his energies, but we do not partake to approach near his essence. There you go. And what does Sam Shamoun think about the energies?
Keep foaming, dude. We're going to call you out.
So the divine energies of fundamental New Testament doctrine, what does he think?
We're going to get you. Don't worry about it. Down, girl. Get some more energies. Maybe they'll help you.
Get more energies. Maybe they'll help you. All right. So, final point then with him is just simply that for him, there's no apostolic church in reality. There's a Calvinist invisible church that exists amongst all the ones that he calls apostolic. That so-called apostolic church has no unified teaching on Christology, the energies, or any of the other crucial doctrines of the first 1,000 years of Christianity. In fact, in his mind, you could go to an Anglican church that doesn't believe in energies and uncreated grace. He could go to a Monophysite church that says something totally different. And you go to an Orthodox church, they're all the church. But there is no such thing as his made-up church. Number two, his position doesn't make any sense if he's going to mock and make fun of energies, when this was his whole point about rejecting the Thomists. The Thomists were arguing that the angel of the Lord has to be a created hologram or a created being, an angel. And so he saw the theophanies. Okay, but you don't have theophanies without the essence-centered distinction. He doesn't even know this. So this is a person who doesn't know any Orthodox theology. He's not catechized. He has no teaching, no authority, no blessing. So he's basically just still a Protestant is the issue. And if you come to Orthodoxy, one of the things you have to learn is that it takes many years to get healed from Protestantism and Calvinism. And of course, he comes out of a Calvinist background. So there's no true church in his position. He has an Nestorian invisible church ecclesiology. There's no consistent, coherent doctrine of theophanies because he says that the energies are something to make fun of, which he doesn't understand is the only way to have theophanies. There's no bishop or authority above him that keeps him in check or calls him out or has given him a blessing to have a, quote, ministry. Okay, I'm not talking about debating. He himself says it's a ministry. And so he's still not catechized properly as an Orthodox person. He went directly from anti-Islam to now I'm suddenly made up Catholic Church apologist ministry online. So he's in the same position as James White of self-appointed public teacher with no authority or oversight. And 5, he has bad reasons for remaining a Roman Catholic. They're all personal, subjective reasons that he feels there's orbs that are surrounding him, and that's telling him this and that. And he has miraculous meetings with Roman Catholics telling him that he needs to be Roman Catholic, and he feels this and that. Those are not good reasons. Well, I can have communion at the Catholic Church, and the Orthodox won't give it to me. Well, maybe you need to be catechized and start the process. But that would require humility and abjuration of errors. And so you understand that what's the root issue here? The root issue is that you can't make up your own online church. You have to be under authority, and you have to go through the process of being healed and have a change in your noetic faculties to be opened up to this new theology, which is only had through the sacraments. And you cannot keep hatred and anger from your Calvinist days as your modus operandi of the Orthodox Church. Doesn't mean you can't debate people, but the erratic, weird manifestations display some kind of healing that's needed. And that can only happen through having a spiritual father that holds you in check and the sacraments in the Orthodox Church. That's it. And this is why Roman Catholicism doesn't provide this healing. Roman Catholicism doesn't even have a nous doctrine. They don't believe in the heart. There's just the intellect and the body. So he's unknowingly gone into a thing that, ironically, is the very opposite of the theology that he's been arguing for the last however many decades or years. He doesn't even understand that Roman Catholic dogma, and he thinks this because he's listening to an idiot, he thinks that when Albrecht tells him he doesn't have to believe this, or he can twist this and interpret it in some other way. No, you don't understand. And I've sent him the issues about your attitude in Roman Catholicism, that you have to submit to the magisterium. The magisterium is not what you think it is. So they're all going to be Protestants, him and Albrecht, when they go into reading the magisterial texts and say, well, I don't have to accept that. I don't have to do this because I've already been down this road. I've done the Roman Catholic thing. I know how it works. I know all of this Roman Catholic nonsense inside and out. The church regards with esteem the Muslims. Does that sound like Sam Shamoun? They adore the one God. Adoration in Catholic theology, he doesn't even know this, is a term of worship. The one God that lives and subsists in himself, merciful and all-powerful, the creator of heaven and earth. So notice that the very thing that he's argued all these years, that Islam is, Allah is the devil. Allah is Baal. Allah is Baal, the demon god. Sam Shamoun has said this 1,000,000 times. Now he's putting himself under the authority, supposedly, of a church that officially and dogmatically teaches that Muslims and Christians adore the same one true God. In fact, Muslims take pains to submit to God in his decrees, just like Abraham did. So Muslims have the faith of Abraham, according to Nostra Aetate 3. He doesn't know the Roman Catholic dogmatic magisterium. He hasn't read Vatican II. He hasn't read the Council of Trent. He hasn't read Denzinger. He doesn't know any of this stuff. And I've been trying to tell him for a few years now, warning him about this. Doesn't care. He would rather yell at Muslims on the internet than actually learn what the Roman Catholic positions actually are, and then fall back on Albrecht, who literally looks like a gay leather daddy biker guy. I mean, you can't make this up. I mean, look at this dude. He looks like a biker daddy, right? Like leather daddy. There's a certain picture I was looking for. He did a live stream recently where they used like an AI picture, which I think he thought it looked really cool. But it actually looks like a leather daddy. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oh, I don't see it, but he should be like the pastor of like a biker church or something. You know what I mean? That's his vibe. And look, we know Albrecht doesn't know anything about philosophy, doesn't know anything about metaphysics. All he does is bark about, I'm using their terminology, bark, bark, bark. All he does is bark about church history and the papacy and what, Mary? That's like the only things he talks about. So we're going to get into some of this defending the papacy with our favorite over here. Is this Loft Dog? With our favorite Loft Dog. But before we do that, I want to remind you that it's not just Nostra Aetate that talks about this relationship. It's also Lumen Gentium 16. So both of these texts are dogmatic, official Vatican II teachings. And if you're wondering why the manifestations that you're seeing, the real manifesting, is because you can't accept these contradictory positions and not go insane. Roman Catholics, I literally believe they actually go insane the more that they know and understand and are exposed to what the papal teaching and position actually is. And it says here, the plan of salvation also includes those that acknowledge the Creator, the first of whom are the Muslims, who profess to hold the faith of Abraham, and along with us, adore the one and merciful God. Now notice in the Nostra Aetate text, it said that they do submit to God's decree, just like Abraham. Because Roman Catholics say, well, it doesn't say they have it. It says they profess to have it. No, in Roman Catholic theology, adoration is a worship term. So Muslims worship the one true God, and that's all premised on natural theology in the Roman Catholic Church. Roman Catholic Church has dogmatized here, for example, this generic theism of an Old Testament Unitarian God. That's how they came to this conclusion. This is how the papacy has built an Abrahamic faith center in Abu Dhabi, which is already opened, where Islam, Judaism, and Christianity all can gather in terms of human fraternity in Abu Dhabi to honor the one living God, the very thing that Nostra Aetate 3 and Lumen Gentium 16 say. Now, if this doesn't tell you that this church no longer professes the Trinitarian theology of the first 1,000 years of Christianity and the Old and New Testaments, there's really nothing else that would convince you of the problem in Rome. And it's not just, well, that doesn't count, it's not dogma. No, actually, Vatican II is dogma. Do you know that any Catholic church that you go to in the world, you are expected to believe Vatican II? There's no Roman Catholic churches that will tell you Vatican II is optional. In fact, the Catholic Catechism, the Catechism of the Catholic Church, is filled with citations from Vatican II. Why would that be optional? On what basis is it optional? It's not optional. You don't have an option to believe it or not. In fact, there are 5 places in Catholic dogma that tell you not only do you have to believe the ex cathedra statements, you also have to believe all the things that are normative ordinary teaching in the church. And even if you think it's wrong, even if it's not, quote, infallible, you're supposed to submit to it with docility. That's canon law in the Roman Catholic Church. But this is exactly why these people's pope, including Sam Shamoun's new spiritual leader, goes and prays towards Mecca in the mosques. And not just crazy Frank, Benedict XVI, the so-called trad, did the exact same thing. So imagine trying to convince people for however many decades of how bad Islam is. And then you're going into an entity whose infallible divine charism head goes and prays in mosque towards Mecca and builds giant Abu Dhabi multi-faith centers based around the premise that Muslims, Jews, and Christians all worship the same generic God. There's a reason why the Catholic apologists suck at defending the Trinity. It's not just because of their ignorance. It's actually because they're being consistent with your dogma. So there's not really a need for debate with these people because they're not recognizing and don't have discernment to see what is obvious departure. There's nobody in the first 1,000 years of Christianity that would do anything like this. And in fact, the ancient canons say you cannot pray in the synagogues or in the heterodox churches so-called. What does that tell you about Sam Shamoun's made-up position that all the apostolic churches are the church, when the canons of the councils say you can't go and pray in the temples of the schismatics and the heretics and in the synagogues? Now, beyond that, the ancient canons themselves from every of the 7 ecumenical councils literally contains canons that contradict Vatican I. And I'll give you this article here that shows all of the canons that contradict Vatican I. Now, the document on human fraternity, this is the document that Francis drew up that is the basis for the Abu Dhabi Multi-Faith Center. The entire document is nothing but social justice warrior, one world religion nonsense. So this is, again, this is what these people are signing on for. This is what Albrecht and all these people are trying to convince you to join, the thing that Francis runs, which is already essentially put into law, church law, the very principles that especially Shamoun has spent decades arguing against. So there's a spiritual delusion that's at work. That's the root of this problem, you see. It's not an intellectual issue. And in fact, the Vatican itself, in their documents, when it comes to ecumenism, their documents themselves admit the very thing that the Orthodox have said the entire time. This is the Francis-approved Chieti document, and it admits right there that the Bishop of Rome did not exercise canonical authority over the churches of the East in the first millennium. There you go. That means that Vatican I's claims are not true. Do you see that? Beyond that, there was the new ecumenist doctrine known as the Alexandria document on synodality and primacy. This admission also means that Vatican I is false. Now, none of these people know about Vatican I. This is all, Shimoon has no knowledge of this. But I'm going to say that you should go and read Vatican I in its entirety at papalencyclicals.net, because you're going to see a lot of things that most Roman Catholics don't tell you. So just like when these people talk about the Muslims and the evangelicals who convert to Islam, and then they point out that, oh, you didn't know about the Sahih Bukhari. You didn't know about the hadiths you got to believe. Or you were just told that Islam is simple. You didn't know you had to believe all this other stuff. Well, guess what? You didn't know that you had to believe unum sanctum, did you? You didn't know that you had to go into canon law in the Roman Catholic Church, which is binding on you as a lay person. Let's see what Roman Catholic canon law says about lay people and when they disagree with the papacy. Although in assent of faith, this is the Vatican II canon law. Although in assent of faith, a religious submission of intellect and will must be given to a doctrine which the Supreme Pontiff or the College of Bishops declares concerning faith or morals when they exercise the magisterium, even if they do not proclaim it a definitive act. So although it's not an assent of faith in the sense of dogma, in other words, they're saying that because the Pope might teach something that is wrong in non-magisterial cases. This is called the ordinary teaching in Catholicism. Okay, do I have to submit to the ordinary teaching in Vatican, in Roman Catholic canon law? A religious submission of intellect and will must be given to the doctrines that the Supreme Pontiff or the College of Bishops teach, even if they do not declare it a definitive act. So this destroys the lie that they all tell each other, that they only have to believe the ex cathedra statements. And I have a whole talk on this showing that that's not true. There's 5 statements in Catholic theology and dogma that tell you that you can't just believe the ex cathedra statements. You don't get to handwave Vatican II. And just like when you call out the Muslims, oh, it's not just Quran, baby. You also got to believe all of this other hadith stuff. Oh, it's not just popes ex cathedra, baby. You also got to believe all this papal nonsense, baby. Let's give you another easy example. In 1302, it was dogmatic that you had to believe in the temporal supremacy of the Roman bishop to be saved. Do you know what this refers to? That the Pope is not just a spiritual head of all the world, he's also a temporal world ruler and magistrate, a civil magistrate. And Boniface made this a dogmatic statement in 1302 that you will be damned if you don't also accept the temporal authority. Now, post-Vatican II, the Roman Catholic Church no longer teaches this. In fact, all of their documents about religious liberty, all the things that you find in Redenta, whatever, Integratio, whatever the Vatican II, Dignitatis Humanae, and the other document, right? They teach freedom of conscience, freedom of worship, all of the things that the post-Vatican or the pre-Vatican II popes had condemned. So Mirari Vos, Quanta Cura, Lamentabili San, Pacendi Dominici Gratius, those are some examples. The Syllabus of Errors, all the things condemned in the Syllabus of Errors, that's as late as Pius IX, the Pope of Vatican I. All of that is reversed at Vatican II. Prior to Vatican II, only a couple decades prior, because of the dangers of the interfaith ecumenist movement, Pius XI in 1928 wrote a famous encyclical called Mortalium Animos. And in Mortalium Animos, I'll give you the link, he outright condemns all interfaith gatherings as apostasy. There it is right there. These interfaith gatherings, according to him, are a surrendering of the faith. It is clear that the Apostolic See cannot take part on any terms in these assemblies, nor is it lawful for Catholics to support the ecumenist interfaith works, because it would give rise to a false Christianity. So you understand, it is an apostasy, according to Mortalium Animos, to have interfaith gatherings, and the papacy cannot support it on any terms. Vatican II reverses this in an outright 100% contradiction, and doesn't just make the interfaith gatherings amongst so-called Christian groups, Protestants, Anglicans, whatever. Vatican II goes even further and makes it an interreligious gathering. And that's what happens at the two Assisi gatherings, where John Paul II gets all the world religions together in a world prayer meeting. A world prayer meeting to what? To all your respective deities. So 1928 condemns all ecumenism right here. And within a few decades, suddenly ecumenism is the work of the Holy Spirit. And this is what Shimoon wants to go to. Well, what I say about a lot of the people who choose Roman Catholicism in these settings is that you get what you deserve. You get what you choose. So here is my talk from a while back. How Vatican I refutes Roman Catholicism and the papacy, right there. Here is another talk about how Vatican I and the papacy are themselves contradictions. And I'm going to give you another one about showing that Vatican II, you have to believe it. Roman Catholics lie and tell these tall tales that, oh, you don't have to actually believe Vatican II. You can hand wave it. It doesn't count, you see. Now, anything that the papacy confirms, as you just saw, for the entire church from the apostolic chair, you got to believe it. And really, it doesn't matter whether it's ex cathedra, whether it's universal ordinary magisterium, because you still have to submit to the ordinary teaching, even when it's not infallible, as Canon 752 says. So this is why Shamoun And Albrecht and all of these goofballs are out to lunch because they've chosen something for whatever reasons. I don't know what their reasons are. Various weird, dumb reasons. Maybe because the papal church loves Skittles now. Maybe it's a Skittles thing. I don't know. But I'm going to give you the proof that you do have to submit to Vatican II. You see this talk here? If you go to the description of this talk, you will see the links to the 5 places. Actually, there's 6 now. I put 6 in there. 6 places in Catholic dogma that you have to accept Vatican II. So you see there's no outs here. There's no way for these people. There's no place for them to run. They're not going to be able to say, oh, I don't have to accept Vatican II. Oh, I don't have to interpret it in a rigorous way. None of that works. You don't even get to interpret Vatican II. Vatican II is what the papacy tells you it is. Now, what's the source of all this again? In 1090, when the papacy schismed from the Orthodox Church, something radical happened in the Latin West. The Pope decided that he was also, on the basis of the forgery known as the donation of Constantine, a world ruler. And not only was he a world ruler, he also made it dogmatic that in order to be saved, you must submit to and believe in his worldly temporal authority. See that? The Roman Catholic Church no longer teaches this. In fact, the Pope took off his triple crown. He doesn't wear a 3-tiered papal tiara triple crown anymore because it signified his triple authority, including his earthly Quisatz Haderach king of the world status. I'm not kidding when I say that. And if you read what Dictatus Papae initially says, the claims are preposterous. They're outlandish and ridiculous. And you don't see any of these claims in the first 1,000 years of Christianity because it's an evolution, it's a development. But Shamoun and none of these people know this, and I guarantee you Albrecht has no answer to this because he probably isn't even aware what Unum Sanctum says about the temporal supremacy of the Roman bishop. So in 1090, Pope Gregory VII mandates Dictatus Papae, that the Pope is a world ruler. By 1302, Boniface VIII dogmatizes it in Unum Sanctum, and even says that you have to believe it to be saved. Okay? In post-Vatican II, the Roman Catholic Church teaches freedom of conscience, freedom of worship, the dignity of the human being, and no one should be forced to believe this or that. The exact night and day opposite of this position. Now, there are many more contradictions in Roman Catholic dogma. I'm just giving you some of the easy basics to disprove this stuff.
You here in person.
Oh,
so
blessed.
What we're doing is talking about the...
Here we go. Carb bloat overload. Let me read some super chats. Skooma Bear, $10. I'm hype.